Are you in the first years of your career and often sitting in meetings, but you're often not really sure how can I contribute, how can I join the conversation, how can I really add value? This is a feeling that many young professionals have, and in this video I'm going to share a couple of tips and tricks based on my experience having worked in consulting at McKinsey for about 6 years on what you can do to succeed in meetings as a junior consultant or as a junior guy in corporate or in any other role similar to that. So welcome to another coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich and on my channel I want to help you to become successful in the first years of your career. So we'll now share 3 super tangible and actionable tips and tricks of what you can do to succeed in such a meeting as a junior. And for every tip I will share a little very personal story based on what happened to me in my professional life to really illustrate these points, and then based on these little stories I will always extract a learning which I trust will help you, because for sure these were learnings which were really valuable and insightful to me. But before we jump into it, I want to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, and this sponsor is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes for creative and curious people. You can explore new skills, deepen your passions and get lost in creativity. There are classes on marketing, personal branding, presentation skills and many more. All of these are topics that are highly applicable to a career in consulting, banking or corporate. And the best thing is that I made a slide writing class for Skillshare so you can access and enjoy it as a Skillshare member. Personally, I recently took the class Productivity Masterclass, Principles and Tools to Boost Your Productivity from the fellow YouTuber Ali Abdal. It's a great class. It taught me many new aspects of productivity and I very much enjoyed how he applied the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule to productivity. Classes on Skillshare are specifically curated for learning. There are no ads, they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And the best thing is that it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. Skillshare created a special offer for subscribers of this channel Firm Learning, and so the first 1,000 subscribers of me that click on the Skillshare link in the video description will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. I hope this helps you to explore your creativity. Check it out, link in the video description. So let's start with the first tip, and indeed let me share a story. This is from an instance that really happened during my consulting professional life. I was on a project and we were having a workshop with a client. I was the responsible associate who was supposed to cover this workshop, so I sat together with the client who was organizing it from the client side. I discussed it with him a little bit. I helped him draft some of the materials for the workshop, but then it looked all good. The workshop was prepared and then it was happening. On the workshop day, the client was then leading the workshop and I was pretty much just sitting there. I was still a young associate. He was presenting everything and I tried to make a couple of remarks and comments which I felt like were probably smart and were adding value. But the truth also is that in this long workshop I didn't really add much to the conversation. And this is then indeed also a point of feedback that I got from the project lead after the workshop. And she was telling me, well, Heinrich, you were a bit too passive. You were not active enough as an associate. It should have been your role to shape the whole workshop a bit more. So what I realized from this episode is that what I didn't do, what I should have done, is to clarify my role before the meeting. And this is indeed the first tip that I want to share with you. Make sure that you clarify your role. And this is true both for external meetings but also for internal meetings. So often you're sitting also in these internal meetings. There are some partners, some senior partners, the project lead, and then you are sitting there as a young associate, as a young consultant, and then often you're lost. I mean, what are you supposed to add to the conversation, right? And indeed, then especially when also clients are present, then it's often the task of the project lead or maybe even the partner to moderate the discussion. And often in these situations, you are, as the junior guy, also not the deepest subject matter expert at the topic that is being discussed. So on the content level, you will also often struggle to really participate and to add value, especially in these situations where all these other senior guys are present. So my advice is that before these meetings are taking place, talk to the responsible person. So this might be your client counterpart or maybe your project lead if now you're walking into an internal meeting with all your partners, and really ask them, how can you add value? What should your role be? And maybe make some suggestions what you believe you could do. And just some examples. So what could you do? So for instance, if you present a larger document, maybe you agree on a certain section in the document that you will present, that you will lead. Maybe there will be a certain flip chart session during the workshop and then you can lead this little session, collect all the questions, steer the the whole discussion. Maybe you will be the one who writes all the notes and then in the end writes the meeting minutes. So all of these are little things that can increase your participation, your activeness, will also increase your visibility. And if you are a regular watcher of my channel, you know how important, in my opinion, visibility is for your career success. And I especially made one video about this topic of visibility. I will link it somewhere above here. It is also one of my older videos, but I believe the messages in there are still very, very valid. Now for tip number 2, let me share an additional story. And this is something that happened to me when I was a project lead, and probably similar things also happened to me with reversed roles when I was a more junior guy on the team. But in that instance, I was a project lead. I was sitting in a meeting with one of my associates, and he also was a more junior associate. He was only with the firm for a couple of months, and we were sitting in a meeting which was part of his module, right? So pretty much the meeting was in the end his responsibility, in the sense that he was responsible to cover the topics that were discussed. So then during the meeting, I as a project lead tried to moderate the whole discussion, to steer the conversation in the right direction. But then there were occasional moments where people were asking us about data, about files that they sent us, what certain numbers were, how this all added up. And my associate was just sitting there pretty quiet, pretty shy, didn't really say anything. So then I ended up opening my laptop, pulling out some files, and pretty much sharing some pieces of information that I wanted to share back with the client. And of course, to some extent here, my expectation would have been that this is something that the associate would do. That as the module owner, he would have all these files at hand and would be able to share all these numbers in the meeting. And this now leads me to tip number 2. And this is that especially as the junior guy in the room, be the numbers guy. So especially if this is a meeting that is about one of the topics that you are covering. In these instances, it actually will even be expected that of course you know all your data much better and much more in detail than the project lead, who also needs to manage other parts of the project in parallel to this specific part. Of course you will have all your files at hand. Of course you will know the most important numbers concerning this work, probably even in your head. You will not even need a file for that, right? So of course, if questions are asked about these topics, this is your moment. This is your role where you can jump in and then share all this information that you have at hand. So being the numbers guy is a straightforward and actually pretty easy little thing that you can do as the junior guy to add some value by providing the relevant data. And I'd say even if it's a question which is not directly belonging to your area of responsibility, don't let your project lead or your partner, or in a corporate context, your boss or whatever, look this stuff up. If you have it, then take this as your role. You are the one who can quickly look this up. Ideally already come into the meeting with maybe your laptop opened, with the most important files or spreadsheets, which will likely be the focus of the discussion, already open, so that if such a question comes up, you do not need to first look for this file where you have saved it, open it and so on, but you directly have it in front of you, can directly tell them the numbers. These are these little great moments where you can shine, where you can add value, and these are things that will be perceived by your team and also by the clients. So tip number 3, and now again a little story from the perception of a project lead. So often you will join meetings that your associates scheduled, that are with clients that are covered by your associates, and just because the topic is a bit sensitive, or maybe the client is quite a personality, then maybe the associate asked you to also jump in, to sit in there, to try to help him to steer the meeting into the right direction. So one thing that I observed occasionally was that now I was sitting in these meetings, I was trying to help, and I thought it was a great meeting. And then the meeting was over, all the clients left, and I was sitting there with the associate, and then I asked him or her, hey, what do you think? How did the meeting go? And then the associate says, well, yes, it went well, but we didn't ask the question. We didn't got this piece of information that we really needed. And then this often confused me. And then I asked the person, well, okay, but if you know that this was important, if you know that we needed to ask this question as well, then why didn't you ask? And this was something that I occasionally observed with more junior consultants, that as soon as somebody more senior than them sits in the meeting, sits in the room, sometimes they feel like, okay, now the meeting isn't my responsibility anymore. Or maybe they are too shy and believe that, well, if this would be really important, then probably my project lead or my partner would think of that. But of course, often it's the other way around, right? Often the partner is the furthest away from what is actually going on in the project, and the project lead will as well be already much further away than you as an associate. So take this as your responsibility as well. And this is my third tip. So make sure that all the key results, that all the next steps are really clear and defined. And if you feel like for whatever reason something important is just not raised by the more senior people in the room, but you know that it is important, then raise it, then ask that question, then address it. Do not believe that it is not your role to ask this, or that you're too intimidated to address this point that you know is so important. Now, of course, be aware of politics. Maybe it's a very sensitive thing. Maybe there was a reason that the project lead or whoever was sitting in there with you didn't raise it. So of course, try to be sensitive for these types of things as well. But in general, I believe that it really rarely hurts if you as the junior guy really push for tangible results and next steps that I agreed in the meeting. So I hope that you find these 3 tips helpful. So first, clarify your role. Second, be the number guy. And third, push for clear next steps and results. If you do this, I trust you will add lots of value to the meeting, and this will give you a very clear sense of what you actually can do if you sit in these conversations. So as always, if you have any questions about all of this, please leave me a comment below in the comment section. As you know, I will answer every single comment that you write, and of course every comment that you write also helps me with the YouTube systems. If you took any value out of this video at all, please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all my content. If you want to see even more from me, also follow me on my Instagram. My handle is Firm Learning. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn or sign up for my mailing list. Both of these links you can find below in the video description. If you want to start learning and claim that free trial, use the link below in the video description to sign up. And I want to end by also saying thank you to all the members of Firm Learning. You're really making a significant contribution to my work on this channel. So if you're thinking about becoming a member as well and also profit from member-only perks, hit the join button next to the subscribe button to learn what this is all about. If you watched until here, thank you for watching until the end. I'm releasing new videos every single Saturday. So looking forward to next week, next Saturday, to the next video. Until then, goodbye. This is Heinrich from Learning. Cheers, guys.